Hello everyone, and welcome to the third land review video of my Epic Universe series. This time, we will be reviewing Dark Universe. So let's just jump right into this. As this is the third video in the series, and I am releasing these lands in the order from my least favorite to my most favorite, this puts Dark Universe at number 3. The previous two were Super Nintendo World being the first review at number 5. Great land, great theming, just not my favorite, and it has some issues. Then, the last one, number 4, was the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. This was another phenomenally themed land, but it's incomplete and, again, just not my favorite. This time, we have number 3 being Dark Universe. This land is absolutely phenomenal. Again, amazing theming, but it really is a land of two halves, and it's got some issues with it that I'll explain later in the video. So, without further ado, let's jump into the actual review of this area. The sun and stars, the moon and time. The chronos spins and worlds align. Beyond this gate find catacombs deep, full of monsters and secrets meant to keep. Once guests walk through the amazing Dark Universe portal, they are transported to the fictional village of Darkmoor, where the Universal Monsters stories have unfolded and collided over the years. This land has so much backstory and history, and it's just awesome. There are 2 attractions in this land. First, we have Curse the Werewolf, which I've rode 3 times. This is a prototype Mach Rides family spinning coaster. The reason it's a prototype is because this is the first time Mach has done a launch family spinning coaster, as far as I know, which is interesting. The facade/entry is actually awesome, with multiple incredibly detailed and colorful wagons, with that freaking awesome sign of the werewolf clutching the moon. It's just great. The queue itself is kinda meh. There are some details as you get closer to the station, but the beginning is just trees and some signs reciting the actual curse of the werewolf. This will be better once the trees grow in. As I said, the upper portion of the queue has some details for the Band of Mystics, like tarot cards, paintings, but it's mostly just cattle pens and a wood barn. The station is actually pretty cool, with the moon in the roof and some metal wolves on the back wall. Then we have the trains themselves. The theming of them is actually great, with a lot of faux wood details, the wolf symbol continuing on the side. They look really nice, and they look like the wagons. The seats are comfortable, and the restraints are a little chunky but soft, so they're not bad. My main problem with this is my knees are into the front of the train. I'm 5'9", and these trains are just so small. When I sit down, I have to cross my knees to stop, or cross my legs to stop my knees from smacking into the bar on the front of the train. So they're great looking, but too small. Then we have the ride itself. You start with a turn and rolling launch that's actually pretty punchy. The train then ascends into a small twisting hill that can actually give a small pop of airtime. The ride then dips down and ascends into an overbank turn with good force. The train then descends into the second launch. This is a swing launch through the Darkmoor Armory. This is a small show scene. It's very hard to see if you're sideways or even really at all, but there are a bunch of weapons inside and 2 werewolves up in the rafters. This, I think, will be easier to see at night. Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to ride Werewolf at night yet because of weather, but you know. After coming down out of the turn, entering the armory, the train hits a small boost and goes up into an overbank turn on the other side of the barn. The train then runs out of momentum and rolls backwards, down, back through the armory, hopping up over a small pop and into that turn out the back. The train runs out of momentum again and then heads back through for one final pass through the armory, up into the overbank turn that you just came back down out of. The changes in direction actually provide good spinning in the front and back cars and some odd sensations. After flying through this turn, the ride then flies over a twisted hill with great whip and a pop of airtime with good speed. It then flies around a low to the ground high-speed turn before ascending into 2 high twisted airtime hills that don't do much. The train then hits the brakes and pulls into what should be a great show scene, but it's just a static Makeover statue and a banner. The ride isn't awful. The layout is fine and the spinning adds some dynamics to the ride, but it hardly spins most of the time. The sheer amount of nets around the ride takes away from the visual appeal of both it and the land itself, and it's just bad when you're on the ride as well. The trees need to grow in, but the whole thing just feels very last minute. Like I said, it's a fun ride, but the theming and placement is just kind of meh. Then we have one of the best attractions in the park, and my personal favorite dark ride overall. This is Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, which I've rode a total of 10 times. This is a Kuga arm dark ride in the same system as Forbidden Journey. The theming of the vehicles is very good, with the arm being a part of the theming and the seats themselves looking like an experiment chair. Then we have the facade and queue, which is just flippin' awesome. The facade is a massive worn castle/manor with electricity pulsing through wires in the windows. The architecture and scale is just massive and beautiful. There's a ton of vines running up the side. It's just stunning. Once you get in the queue, you enter into the main atrium, which is absolutely massive, with a portrait of Henry Frankenstein on an upper balcony and some really cool wallpaper leading up the side. On the ground floor, there are 2 awesome looking statues. The stairs are massive banister stairs, and when you look up into the ceiling, you have wires pulsing with electricity. There's some downstairs extended queue that goes outside and then back inside and through a sitting room before you actually climb the stairs. Upstairs, there's a room showing a video of Victoria capturing the monsters. Then you have an awesome room with a containment unit feeding blue electricity to keep a bat contained. Occasionally the bat will try and break free and orange electricity will pulse out from it before more blue is fed back in. It's a really cool little set piece. Then you walk out onto a balcony on the other side of the atrium with a portrait of Victoria Frankenstein. You then enter the first of 2 pre-shows. The first one is with Igor. He's on a screen above you teasing guests and showing off the ride vehicle, which is a physical animatronic that moves and now has little guests sitting in it. This is a basic pre-show, but it's really fun and entertaining. Next pre-show, though, is spectacular. You enter into Victoria Frankenstein's little lab, where a phenomenal Victoria animatronic is sitting at a console in front of a screen pulsing with electricity. She then introduces herself and what guests are there for before she shows off her new Frankenstein creature. This is a massive walking animatronic. It actually walks out from behind a curtain with no support. It's so clean and detailed and smooth. Victoria then mentions Dracula, and Frankenstein gets angry before a red Dracula head appears behind Victoria and threatens guests. After this, Victoria then sends guests on their way through the rest of the queue. This is the best pre-show that I've ever seen for an attraction, in my personal opinion. The animatronics are so clean and amazing, and the voice lines have so much emotion and power behind them. It's just phenomenal. You then exit into the locker room. These lockers are amazing and double-sided. After this, you enter into the rest of the queue, where you enter a room of Dracula's coffin and then some stuff piled up in the middle, before you enter a couple of hallways and are grouped into a group of 4 that you then walk out onto the moving load station. This is a massive round loading area that is wicked cool. Then there's the full ride experience itself, which I'm going to try and keep relatively brief because I have a full review of this ride out already. You pull out of the station to Victoria talking about the catacombs before you see a really good Igor animatronic sitting at his control panel taunting guests. You then enter a room full of skulls and turn on your back to look at a massive bell with Quasimodo hanging from it. You then enter a massive room and turn to see an incredibly fluid Phantom of the Opera animatronic playing a massive organ with just some beautiful music. He then, as you exit this scene, he then turns and reaches at your ride vehicle. You then turn around and see Victoria standing at a control panel in front of an amazingly cool electrical tank. You then follow the cables down to a phenomenal Frankenstein animatronic that completes the loop, and electricity is projection mapped onto his skin. You then turn and see Dracula in his control ring, where he goes, and then breaks free, sending red electricity crackling and causing you to feel a vibration in your seat and a blast of heat that wasn't there during previews. The vehicle then jerks away swiftly and suddenly, and you see some chains against curtains that look like the budget had been cut. Then you turn to see Dracula's brides escaping from their coffins. After this, you will see a Dracula on a screen where he wraps himself in his cloak and disappears. You then continue to see Frankenstein being attacked by a bride, and the bride flying in front of Victoria while she prepares to shoot it with a crossbow. While this is happening, you hear Igor's witty banter.
They're out! They're all out! Even the really ugly ones!
You then see some awesome stone statues before you continue on, where your ride vehicle jerks down again, and you see this awesome Creature from the Black Lagoon animatronic that is just so clean. You then whip around and see an amazing Wolfman animatronic that is munching on a dead creature that sprays you with water. You see some screens where the Wolfman tries to attack your ride vehicle, and then on a screen above you, he howls at the moon before you tilt on your back and go under a low structure. When you emerge from the other side, you see a phenomenally fast Wolfman animatronic that swipes at your ride vehicle as a camera takes your picture. You then turn and see Frankenstein grab an electrical wire and zap Wolfman. You then turn away and see a projection map sarcophagus that splits open in the middle to reveal a mummy. And the projection mapping continues on the ceiling as you see Victoria run in, shoot a mummy, and then tell guests to follow her. You shift into the next scene, where you see some screens and an absolutely massive mummy animatronic hanging out of the ceiling, lunging at your ride vehicle, holding like what looks like a giant turkey leg. This really puts Revenge of the Mummy to shame. The mummy gets blasted and wriggles at guests before you turn on your back and see more screens in the ceiling with a device powering up. You exit this area to a massive screen with a huge Dracula animatronic suspended in front of it, taunting guests. He's just wow. This screen to physical set integration is exactly what I wanted from this ride and all the rides in this park. You then turn and see a massive Frankenstein holding a mirror that reflects light and blasts a bride animatronic backwards. You then turn to see another massive stone statue, and then continue turning to see Dracula about to hit you with electricity before he gets blasted by Frankenstein. After pushing boards off him, Dracula flies above guests on the screen, where they then go under another low ceiling before you emerge to see a massive Dracula soaring out over your ride vehicle, and he is actually out over your head before he gets blasted back up into the ceiling. You then get one final Victoria animatronic stating her claim before you turn and get one more quippy Igor quote before he gets attacked by bats. This ride is just phenomenal. The animatronics are phenomenal. The screens are so clear, the theming is amazing. The screen to physical set integration is great, and the ride vehicle motion is so dynamic. It's just absolute perfection, and overall, I love this ride. It's by far the best non-coaster in the park. Then we have the 3 shopping options in the land. First is Dr. Pretourius Scientific Oddities. The inside has a ton of little creatures and oddball items for theming. The merch is mostly just the Monsters merch found in the Mummy gift shop, in addition to Burning Blade Tavern that all have bottle openers on them. Then at the exit to Monsters Unchained is the Manor Storehouse. This has a cute monster collection, a ton of Frankenstein Manor merch that is awesome, and some more generic Monsters merch, and then a bunch of just like Dark Universe logo merch. I especially love this record in there. I finally got a chance to pick it up, and I absolutely love it. It's all the soundtrack for the land. The theming in the Storehouse is an assortment of things that had been stashed in there. The final shop is a small cart called the Guild of Mystics. This is themed like one of the Mystics wagons and features some wicked cool Curse of the Werewolf merch that features the coaster and some amazing artwork. The merch in this land, some of it's meh, some of it's good. We also have the Monster Makeover experience. This is basically a very fancy face paint with some awesome designs but high prices. I think it's like $45 just for the paint, and then around $160 for the face paint and the costume. It's cool but crazy expensive. Then we have the 3 dining options in the land. First, we have the Lacey's Cottage. This is a quick serve window that sells a variety of drinks, including alcohol and some cinnamon bites, as well as a Frankenstein-shaped pretzel that's pretty decent for a theme park pretzel. I'd give it a 2 out of 5. Then up the way, we have the Burning Blade Tavern. This is themed like a Monster Hunter's Tavern. Inside, there are heads and pieces of creatures hanging behind the bar. Around the walls are a variety of paintings of locations from the movies, and all the wood inside looks charred. There are, of course, a variety of options, including both non-alcoholic, and alcoholic drinks. I tried the Hunter's Garlic Steak, which is a crispy garlic butter pretzel served with garlic dipping sauce. I honestly found this to be pretty good. The pretzel was nice and soft on the inside, crunchy on the outside. The garlic butter sauce was the perfect amount. I didn't even need the side of it. And it was just very buttery, garlicky, and good. Honestly, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. Finally, in Dark Universe, we have Doss Stakehouse. This is a phenomenally themed sit-down quick-serve restaurant themed to an inn run by vampire familiars. The story is that the familiars are inviting you in for a meal that is going to be your last. The whole story is well portrayed by the servers. The theming is just phenomenal. The whole place is made of dark stone and then has like these obsidian rocks sticking out of the walls. The main mantle has 2 vampires staked in little holes. These are Prince Ambrose and Princess Yvette. On the walls are some really awesome paintings of different battles and vampires. The walls also have graves in them, and the chandeliers are made of steel and skulls with candles in the top. The theming and details in here are phenomenal. Then there's the food, and I have definitely found my go-to item in Epic Universe in this place. That item is the Crimson Glazed Pork. The pork is melt-in-your-mouth tender, and the sauce is like the barbecue rib sauce from Chinese restaurants, being sweet and tangy. The carrots are carrots, but the mashed potatoes and mushrooms are actually pretty good. Overall, this easily gets a 5 out of 5 for me. It's delicious. Then we have the carved staked steak. The piece I got was not strip steak. It was actually prime rib. The meat was again very tender, and the bloody Jew was savory and complemented the steak very well. The sides were the same as the pork. Overall, I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. It just wasn't quite as good as the pork to me. My group also split the Darkmoor Black Wings. These were actually very good and reminded me of the old KFC original recipe chicken, which is not a dig. Like, it's just the closest thing I can compare it to. I am not complaining about that at all. They are very tender. The sauce on them isn't spicy. It's more like a hoisin sauce. The cornbread skull was delicious as well, but my group mate said that the slaw was just okay. Overall, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Very good, just not as good as some of the other options. On one of my previous visits, I tried the bits and pieces. The sides are the same as the pork and steak, so very good, but the skewer itself is delicious. It's so tender and has almost a sweet and savory flavor overall. It's a really good texture because some ground beef isn't always, great in texture. Overall, I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. Very good. Finally, we tried the Labata Cotta. The presentation is amazing, being a brain sitting in blood, basically, and it's actually tasty. The brain itself is sweet, but not super sugary, and the sauce underneath has a nice fruity flavor to the dish. Overall, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. It's delicious. This was over 2 or 3 trips to Doss that all this has been eaten. This place is just amazing and my personal favorite quick serve restaurant at any theme park. The food and theming is top notch. I didn't even talk about the chairs, which are phenomenal as well. Then of course we have the theming. Once you exit the portal, you enter into a winding graveyard full of references to the movies and fog that looks especially great at night. You then come to the awesome burned bridge and Darkmoor sign. You enter into the land proper and are greeted by an amazing looking street with this awesome wrought iron well in the middle. On the right is Doss Stakehouse. The entry building looks like a coffin, and the outdoor seating is set behind the graveyard and set behind a giant wrought iron gate. Also on the right is a facade for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde Apothecary that's awesome and so detailed in the windows and sign. You can actually hear the two talking and arguing inside. It's just great. On the left is Dr. Pretourius' gift shop and the makeup experience that are just awesome with so much dark stone and wood details up top. It's just great. Next to this is a small stage for the violinist that also tells the stories of Darkmoor. Then on the end is the bathroom. This main street is so well themed with mismatched windows, doors, and just a ton of details such as like the Demeter ship Weatherbane or the real bell up in the bell tower that actually rings. It's just awesome. Then you come around the wall and see that absolutely stunning Frankenstein Manor in its full glory. Like, you can see it from the street, but then you really get a good look at it. Then we get to the back part of the land. I'll give this the benefit of the doubt. The trees need to develop more, but the sheer amount of nets around Werewolf is just ugly. The Burning Blade Tavern facade is awesome, though, with that massive windmill that has blades above a fortified wall. that actually turn. Then you have the show where it bursts into flames every 15 minutes. So I found that the show begins at the 15-minute mark with the bell ringing to signal the monster is around. But it actually takes like 2 minutes before the real fire appears on the tavern. So just wait and it will happen. If you're there at night, the 2 minutes makes more sense because you can see like the villagers walking up with some light. The entrance to Werewolf is also amazing, and you see a little cart a ways down carrying a variety of disgusting items in jars. It's really cool. But there is nowhere near the sheer amount of theming in the back part of the land as there is in the front part. It's kind of sad, honestly. Overall, Dark Universe is an absolutely phenomenal land. The main street has so many details. Daw's Stakehouse is delicious. Monsters Unchained is my favorite dark ride. Chris the Werewolf is fun. Burning Blade Tavern is wicked cool with decent food. But that back half of the land is so dead, and not in a punny way. It's just so bare. I wish it was as high themed as the main strip of the land. So great land, but not perfect. I wish the entire land was as fleshed out as the front half. It would be so much better. Maybe with an expansion of that possible creature from the Black Lagoon boat ride, it'll get better, hopefully. But with all that being said, I love Dark Universe. It may not be my favorite land, but the music is amazing. The theming is great. The food is phenomenal. The dark ride is perfect. Overall, great land. And I hope you all enjoyed this review. And we'll see you all next time on another adventure.